Hello friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with the story in which our OP, a home health nurse who never called out or cut corners, simply asked for a few days off she'd earned, only to get chewed out by her manager and forced to hand in her notice, triggering a last-minute staffing panic. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The day I turned a denied vacation into a career upgrade. I've been working with a home health agency for the better part of 9 months. I work 12-hour days with cases ranging from complex to simple. In that time, I've worked 11 unscheduled doubles and 42 additional 12-hour overtime shifts. I've used exactly 2 sick days, one for myself and one for my kid. I do not call out, I do not show up late, and I don't do the corner cutting they suggest. I take vacation time on my off days. I save them on 3 specific occasions from failing audits. I picked up so much because A, the money's nice, B, I legitimately care about the well-being of my patients, and C, they begged me. You see, the company I work for likes to take on new clients without having enough staff to cover that patient. Then they freak out and offer bonuses for us to pick up. These are governmentally contracted jobs with big DOE bucks coming in. If they can't prove the patient is taken care of, they're fined heavily. Too many fines and they're blackballed from taking new DOE clients at all. This company is so poorly run, it's a joke. They have 8 schedulers, but still send mass texts every single day asking us to pick up. These happen all hours of day and night. They often double book or randomly change schedules without informing clients or nurses. They also underpay for my area. Not much, but paying $4 less per hour is a big deal. They also won't respond to your questions, calls, or texts for days to weeks at a time. I've been looking around for a while and found a company that pays more, has good leadership, and they said they'd have me on the ground running closer to home if I just went through their hiring program. I agreed and have been an employee with them for about a month. Just no hours worked yet. Back to my malicious compliance. I knew I'd be out of town for a couple of days and have 9 days worth of PTO banked. I decided to help them out and ask for 3 days off. I assumed that would give them enough time to fill my spot. I did this on September 13th. The days I requested are October 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's a mini vacation for my family since I worked all summer. Monday, I received a nasty email about the final day for PTO requests being September 10th. I let the manager know I was trying to help them out by giving them time to fill it. She shot back with how selfish of me it was to leave her shorthanded. She rejected my PTO requests. Tuesday, I showed up at the office to discuss this little frustration. I mentioned my exemplary work history and intention of making things easier for them. She slammed the table with her balled fist and said, "You will work those days. I don't care if you have a trip planned to Australia. You'll be there. If you don't like it, you can just leave." It was her nasty smirk that set me off. I stood up, took a mint, and said, "As you wish. I expect all my PTO to be on my next paycheck in accordance with our state PTO laws. I hope you can fill the opening on such short notice." The look of horror on her face was more valuable than the PTO. In the past 24-plus hours, I've received 19 voicemails asking if I can come into work because they're short. Tonight's my first night with the new company. It ended up being $6 an hour more, 48 minutes each way closer to home, and I get paid 40 hours even though I work 36. Be careful what you wish for. You may just get it. It's a great bonus that you're now closer to home and making more money for fewer hours. Perfect reminder that when a company treats your PTO like an afterthought, the best compliance is simply exercising your rights. And our second story. The beautiful moment when Karen's demands aligned perfectly with bank policy. About a dozen years ago, I was working in a banking call center. The company was informed of some governmental change that required us to have a tax ID number for everyone with our business credit card account, and we had some ridiculously short time frame to be in compliance. There were tens of thousands of accounts with this ID missing. It hadn't been previously required. A big group of us were given lists of customers and told to call them and ask for the tax ID number. If they had it, we added it to the account, and all was well. If they didn't have it, we were to switch them to a consumer, non-business card. If they didn't want that, we'd cancel on the spot. Due to the short time frame for compliance, the customer had to tell us on the call which they preferred. Another nifty caveat was that we were only making 2 calls and were not leaving messages. We couldn't drag this out waiting for people to eventually call us back. If we got the person on the first call, we were done. If we didn't get them on the second call either, the account was auto-canceled. This sounds like a horrible job to do, but it was actually going really well. 99% of the people I called were happy to comply or switch accounts. Then I called Karen. The phone rang, and I was about to hang up when I heard that pause and double ring that tells you the call was forwarded, so I waited. Karen, what? I could hear background noise like she was out in public. Me, hi, this is OP with XXX Bank, and Karen, why the F are you calling my cell phone? Are you effing stupid? I told you people to never call this number. Me, I didn't. The call was Karen. OMG, now you're going to lie to me? Pay attention. Never call me again. I use your credit card for everything and pay it, so you have no reason to call me. Got it? Me, yes, but phone disconnects. Malicious compliance kicks off. Okay, so I spoke to you, maybe a dozen words. You didn't provide your tax ID, and I can't call you back because you said to never do that. Next button, cancel. Notes, customer did not provide the tax ID and demanded we never call her again. I really hope she was out shopping and had fun when her card was declined at the next store. Good for you for standing up to an abusive customer. But honestly, if my bank called me asking for my tax ID or social security number, I'd tell them to send the request in writing and end the call. Then I'd call my bank directly or go in person to see what's going on. Too many scammers are playing the "this is your bank" calling card. I wouldn't be surprised if you got a lot of pushback from customers on this. And our last story. The HOA tried everything to break me. I live on a property that borders what used to be an HOA. Keyword, used to. It shut down about a year ago. My land isn't on their street and was never part of their jurisdiction, but it's right next to their road, so I guess they thought they could intimidate me into joining their little club. When I first moved in a couple years ago, I was just a guy trying to build a quiet life. I bought a piece of overgrown property with inheritance money, cleared it out, and installed a manufactured home. About half was paid up front, the rest on mortgage. Fully fenced, nice gate, gravel driveway, country piece. That was everything I wanted. And then came the HOA. A few days into living here, the president of the HOA rolls up with 2 of her board members on mobility scooters like they were a geriatric biker gang. Notebooks in hand, fake smiles on their faces. I made the mistake of leaving my gate unlocked, and they just helped themselves onto my land. They gave me a pitch about mandatory HOA membership, claimed I was already in violation of several bylaws, including having a yellow gate and a gravel driveway. I told them to get out. They refused. I went back inside, came out with my .22 rifle, not aimed, just in hand, and told them to leave immediately. They called the cops on me. Joke's on them, the cops sided with me. They were trespassing, and I was well within my rights to defend my property. The looks on their faces when the officers told them to scram? Absolutely golden. But they didn't stop. First, it was the weekly HOA membership applications, then the passive-aggressive stuff. A board member waited at my gate just to tell me I was ruining neighborhood morale. They started mailing me warnings and fake fines, some of which were for things like having an old fence, which came with the property, unpaved driveway, owning a firearm, and a shed I installed. They even tried to fine me for violations by the previous owner before I ever bought the land. The total fines added up to $30,000. Eventually, I had enough. I installed security cameras after someone vandalized my trash can with what looked like a saw. The cameras scared them off from further damage, but they kept sending those damned applications. I started mailing them back with "no" written in Sharpie and sometimes more colorful messages. Then came the kicker. One morning, their obese HOA president, I started calling her President Whale behind her back, blocked my driveway with a van to prevent me from leaving. She got out and gave another one of her crazy "join the HOA or else" speeches. When I threatened to call the cops, she doubled down and said the road was the HOA's. It wasn't. It's county property. She refused to move. I called the police, and when they arrived, she pretended I was threatening her. She even tried chasing me around with a rolled-up HOA application until she was gasping for breath. The officers quickly figured out the truth. My dashcam and security footage backed me up. They cited her for illegally blocking me in, and she got a fat ticket. So what did she do? She sued me in small claims court for the cost of her citation and emotional distress. Around the same time, the HOA tried to place a bogus lien on my property for that same $30,000 they tried to fine me. That's when I got a lawyer. We had the lien canceled. It was completely baseless, and I filed countersuits against the HOA and President Whale for harassment, fraudulent fines, and attempted extortion. I even went to one of their meetings, which were held in an old schoolhouse, and confronted the board. When I started talking, Whale kept pounding her little gavel and yelling, "No!" like a toddler having a meltdown. The other board members eventually had to take the gavel away from her. Turns out they weren't willing to go down with her. They threw her under the bus, claimed everything was her doing, and voted to remove her as president. She reportedly had a full-on tantrum and was forced to leave the meeting in disgrace. A couple of days later, she had a heart attack. Her obsession with controlling others and binge-eating cake led her to isolate herself and almost eat herself to death. My lawsuit ended shortly after. The HOA settled out of court, blamed everything on her. They paid my legal fees, reimbursed me for the security system, and threw in a few grand on top of it. Then her family tried to sue me for causing her heart attack. Judge threw it out immediately. They also vandalized mailboxes and homes, got caught on camera, and arrested. I got a few threatening letters taped to my gate, but nothing came of it. Eventually, the HOA collapsed completely. The residents voted to disband it. No park, no pool, no community benefits. It served no purpose but harassment. And after Whale's death and the failed lawsuits, the rest of the board just gave up. Now I'm finally left in peace. I've even made some friends, got invited to a few barbecues, met neighbors on bike rides, and finally get to enjoy the life I built here. The fact that they seriously thought Karen having a meltdown-induced heart attack was somehow your fault is peak entitlement. You handled it perfectly, and karma definitely had your back this time. Can't script this kind of drama. It's way too good. Glad justice was served, OP. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.